Okay, so good morning. I'm also new to Cisco, right? So this is week 3 for me, but I'm not new to wireless. So I think this is a fascinating space, right? Like if you look at the mobile connection or mobile connection-ready devices, it's going to increase by something like 4 billion in the next 4 or 5 years, right? And the traffic through those devices, which is at 1.7 Mbps, is going to double. And this is on average. In an enterprise setting, it's going to grow maybe 7, 8 times, right? And these numbers, these are what we think it's today. It could be a lot larger. But with all of this, there's complexity that comes in, right? Whether it's the connectivity, whether it's security. And so at Cisco here, and particularly with wireless, our goal is simplicity without compromise, right? So make all of this simple, but really not make it complicated. And so with that, today, you're going to see 3 things that I hope excites you. The first is a brand new Levin AC Wave 2 APs with the Mobility Express solution, right? So in less than 10 minutes, and I think my team's going to show you, in less than 10 minutes, can we set this up for a small site with less than 25 APs and get it going, right? But with no compromise, again, it's enterprise-grade features. So that'll be the first thing on the agenda. And then once you've set it up, I think as the world evolves, it's not just about connectivity, right? It's about solutions, whether it's for a retailer who wants to understand how people dwell, where they move about, the traffic. And so our CMX 10.2 is going to really help you do that. And again, without complications, right? So in another 20 minutes, we think you should be able to get to insights that matter, right? And that's CMX 10.2, and you're going to see that. I think you'll enjoy that. And finally today, with our Meraki mobile device manager solution, you're going to get a demo of that. And that's going to see, like, again, it's simplicity, right? Whether it's your desktop or mobile devices, how can you get on the cloud and manage those seamlessly and effectively? So that's what's on the agenda today, right? I think going with a theme of simplicity, but no compromise. And you're going to see these things. And also, I'm told that all of you here will get our brand new Wave 2 APs, a pair of them actually shipped to you by the time you go. So hopefully you'll enjoy that and give us feedback. And we also understand that in this complex environment, it's not just about us, right? It's how we work with the ecosystem. So you probably read the press about our partnership with Apple. Just want to quickly highlight that that's an area where we're investing so that whether it's your iOS device, your iPhone or iPad, can we make it work better and more seamlessly, period, with wherever we have a Cisco network, and particularly in enterprise settings, right? So we won't talk about that in the agenda today, but I'm just leaving you with that thought, right? So that's sort of a quick intro from me. Any top of mind questions before we get started? All right, thank you so much. And Christian, Mobility Express, or is that the next?
Yeah, Mobility Express.
All right.
He's mic'd up.
Thank you.
You're already mic'd.
You're already mic'd.
Yeah, I'm already mic'd, so I'll just put this right here for now. Thanks for the great introduction, Greg. Today, I'd like to talk to you about Mobility Express and our 802.11ac Wave 2 access points. My name is Brian Levin, and I'm a product manager on the mobility side from Cisco. So first, I know that over the last couple of days and weeks, and actually years, you guys have been very immersed in 802.11ac Wave 2. So I just want to kind of talk to you about what we see from a Cisco standpoint and what 802.11ac Wave 2 means to us. First, multi-user MIMO. Of course, increasing the spectral efficiency of the PHY layer is very important to making your network work better. So we see this as the key innovation for all 802.11ac Wave 2. So for example, if I'm a 3 spatial stream access point, and you guys are all 1 or 2 spatial stream clients, which of course most of the network is, then when I talk to you, I'm essentially leaving 2 spatial streams unused, because I'm communicating with you with only 1 of my spatial streams. Right? That's a lot of inefficiency. With multi-user MIMO, this is where we can really utilize the extra beam or the extra antenna on our AP, and we can do 3 distinct streams. So I can do one spatial stream over here, one spatial stream over here, one spatial stream over here, and overall give better throughput and performance to you as an end user. Another key point that we really see at Cisco that's going to improve over 802.11ac Wave 2 is increased channel widths. So I know a lot of you guys are thinking, there's not that much spectrum. So we go to these 160 megahertz channels. How would I make this work? But we have an algorithm as part of our radio resource management that really looks at every single radio individually and picks the best channel width for every single radio. So for example, you're in a room like this, lots of clients, you have multiple APs. It's not possible to have wide channels in a deployment like this, so you would fall to 20 or 40 megahertz. But if you look at this whole floor as a whole, there's many different nooks and crannies and different areas. So our radio resource management system called Dynamic Bandwidth Selection picks every single access point radio and then determines the best channel width for it. So if it's in an area that's more isolated, where there's fewer users, we can go with a wider channel width and give better performance in that area. In the more dense areas, we drop down the channel width to give you more throughput, and in the smaller spaces, because there's more access points competing for the same bandwidth. And we give you a better overall network performance based on the ideal channel width for each access point. So those are the key innovations that we see as very important for 802.11ac Wave 2. Let me talk about our products. First, we've announced the 1850, which is our first entry in the 802.11ac Wave 2 access point or market. This is a 4 spatial stream, 4x4 with 4 spatial streams for single user MIMO, and 4x3 or 4x4 with 3 spatial streams for multi-user MIMO. And the reason why it's one less spatial stream for multi-user MIMO is because that 4th antenna is used to help direct the beams. So we can get the 3 distinct spatial streams. So I'm going to pass this around with you. As you notice, it has 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, and they can be lagged together. We also have come out with kind of a little brother to that, the 1830, which is one less antenna, so it's 3x3 with 2 spatial streams. And it has one less Ethernet port, so it's only 1 gigabit Ethernet port. And that was just announced as well. So with these access points, we have entry into the small to medium-sized business market, where we can really go after the small mom and pop shops or the small K through 12 school systems that don't have a dedicated IT staff that can deploy large-scale Cisco enterprise networks. This is a way that you can, with the simplicity of use and ease of design, you can quickly deploy access point in less than 10 minutes to completely give you wireless coverage. So that kind of leads me into Mobility Express. Mobility Express is a new operating mode that we have on our Cisco access points, geared for the small to medium-sized business. So basically, our access point was custom built with Mobility Express in mind. So we've added additional memory capacity and processing power to handle a controller running on these access points. These access points allow for the controller, or upon boot, these access points first try to join a controller. If there's no controller on the network, they go and they create their own on the access point. This allows for fast IT. So fast IT is the ability to quickly, in under 5 to 10 minutes, deliver this solution. So if you're not your typical tech person who's used to pulling out a console cable and connecting to access points, this is a way that you can literally take the access point out of the box, plug it into a switch, have it power. Once it powers, it's quickly broadcast to SSID. You connect to SSID, configure the access point, and your network is up. Those are the 3 steps that it takes you to really get the network going. Next is zero compromise. So we don't compromise any features on these access points. This is a fully functional Cisco WLAN controller. So all the features that you would expect on your enterprise type solution also come on this. So you have guest access. You have multiple SSIDs. You have, if clean air access points connect to this, you have full clean air on this device, pulling it from, of course, your clean air access points. So all of the Cisco features that you're used to using are also present with Mobility Express. We also like to focus on investment protection. So if you're doing a greenfield deployment, first time being a Cisco customer, no other Cisco access points, you would of course buy multiple 1850s or 1830s and deploy them throughout your network. But if you're a new Cisco customer, you can go and you can take your existing overlay network. You can take your 1600s, your 2700s, your 3700s, and put this 1850 into your network, and it will be the controller. All of them would join it, work as a Cisco network, and continue to function properly. You don't have to rip out your old Cisco equipment and put only 1850s or only 1830s. So it's completely compatible with all different Cisco products. So that kind of allows you to maintain whatever network you have currently. Also scale. So the biggest question that comes up with this is what size can I scale to? We've gone and we've interviewed many of our customers and kind of have a target market that we're looking for. And that market is 25 access points connecting to this and 500 clients. And that's deemed to be the typical size of a small to medium-sized business. We've also brought in all of our Cisco best practices. So over the last couple years, we've really redesigned the GUI to make easy workflows. So you go directly from, when you come into the splash page, you can see all the clients connected to your network, as you'll see in the demo that Rajat's going to show later on. You can see channel utilization. You can see the AVC parameters. You can see everything that's going on in your network from a single pane of glass. We've taken that a step further, and we've actually delivered an app that runs on Android and iOS that gives you that same visibility into your network, but from the app itself. So Mobility Express pulls on that to have easy workflows to quickly configure WLANs, to quickly see how your network is performing and get lots of details directly from the GUI.
So can I interrupt you for a minute?
Yes.
On the SMB, the small business story with the Mobility Express, how does that reconcile with, Meraki when it comes to marketing, and how do you differentiate this is a better Meraki, small business, or, you know what I mean? Which solution is right for which small business, and how do you clarify that message when you're
that's a great question.
About them both?
And we, being Cisco, are very fortunate because we do have two very best-in-class solutions, right? We have Mobility Express that targets a small market, and we also have Meraki. So if you want an on-prem type device that you can control on-site, that's where we'll position Mobility Express. And for a cloud-based type solution, that's where Meraki comes in and is a very viable solution as well.
Right. I mean, I get I get that conceptually, but how do you sell it? What I'm saying. I come to you and I say, I'm a small business. Which one is right for me? How do you differentiate?
You ask your partner.
Yeah, it's completely up to your customer's preferences and the features that the customer needs. So there's distinct feature set just with the capability of controlling the device on site versus in the cloud. So it's really up. We give two options. Both will work very well in your network and make your customer very happy. So as a partner, it's just kind of what the customer's exact needs are, because every single use case is slightly different.
Okay. Then just one more quick one. Is there anything beyond the 1850 story as far as what APs can be a controller coming? I mean, I know there's roadmap stuff you probably can't talk about, but is it reasonable to expect that I don't want an 1850 as a controller, but I might want a 3700 because that's what I use?
Yeah, our current plan is to only release Mobility Express on the 1830 and 1850. All roadmap stuff we will address, or we can address in this session.
Yeah. Okay.
When you talk about zero compromise and features, obviously you're not going to have all of your APs running in local mode going through these APs. So are you more so on the line of that it's the same feature set as Flex Connect, and is this going to be equivalent to more of a 2504 feature set versus like a 5508?
Yeah. So this is kind of the APs that connect in Flex Connect mode. So it's similar to Flex, where it is Flex feature set when you're connecting to the Mobility Express access point.
Okay.
I got a question about the your RRM on your 80 and 160 channels. What are your thresholds on that? If you hear no RF in the spectrum, are you going to then say, yeah, we'll use a 160 channel? Or I'm really curious on how you plan on using that wide of a channel.
Yeah, so our pretty much our RRM algorithm, all of our APs go off channel on intervals throughout the time that they're active, right? So they have a very good perception of the noise floor and the noise on every single channel. So if they see for a given period of time that the channel is completely clean and there's no other RF in the area, then they know it's safe to configure. So
Those thresholds would be?
There's not set thresholds or in this discussion I can't give you straight thresholds, but we can talk offline. But it's just kind of a clean channel is pretty much what we look for. So we take lots of things into consideration, right? So if you have just legacy ABG or legacy end clients, then it doesn't make sense to go to such a wide channel, right? Because you all have clients that can support that channel width. And then we also take other things like the cleanliness of the air, the interferers that are there, the number of other access points that are working in that space, and all of that's taken into consideration to pick the optimal channel for every single access point.
Okay, thank you.
With the Mobility Express rollout, say you have a very distributed enterprise like a retail location that wants to use Mobility Express for that type of rollout. Is there any type of cloud-based provisioning system for that to ease the rollout so they can just send the APs to them? Or do they have to pre-provision the APs before they send them out to the retail location?
Currently, pre-provisioning is the way that we configure Mobility Express. So you would configure the Mobility Express access point on site, and Rajat will actually give you a demo of how that's done.
Okay. And if you're doing the pre-provisioning on site, is there some sort of centralized server that you can use to roll out configurations to them, or are you provisioning each AP individually?
Yeah, we're targeting you can manage individual Mobility Express controllers through prime infrastructure. But our typical use case for this is small to medium-sized businesses that would have one site. And with that one site, we would envision that you would go directly to the access point to configure.
All right, thank you.
So, excuse me. So one size with which is crowdy. I mean, where you need density. We can use the 1800 series, right?
Right. It's up to 25 access points. So full RRM works there. So in this space, so the density of up to 500 clients in a specific site. So we built custom hardware specifically for that scale. So we test completely up to that scale, and we make sure that it can handle that density.
Thanks.
And there's no change to PI, so I mean, you go back to the single site thing where, I'm a single site, 25 APs, up to 500 clients. Is there like a PI mini to support this? You know what I'm saying?
Currently, we support full PI for Mobility Express.
Right, I'm just envisioning a very, very expensive NMS for a very small Wi-Fi environment.
Yeah, that's why the target for this is around 25 access points. So then if you were to go to a larger scale type deployment, that's where we position our other controllers, such as a 2504 or a 5520 or anything along those lines. So I need to get going with the draw. So I want to just go through the provisioning process of the Mobility Express. So if I start out by drawing a switch, this is your switch. Out of the box, you take a Mobility Express access point. You plug it in directly into the switch. First thing it does is power. Upon powering, it looks to join the controller. There's no controller present, so it immediately goes and spawns a controller on itself. Once that controller comes up, it starts broadcasting an SSID. You're going to see this demo in a couple minutes too, so I'm just walking you through to see what you guys are expecting. So once the SSID starts broadcasting, you connect to it. You connect to it, a wizard comes up and walks you through the steps. First step you do is assign an IP address to the WLC. With the IP address assigned, then the WLC is online. So you go through the steps, you create SSIDs, you create guest network, you create all of the different density parameters that you need for your network to run. So now the WLC is configured, the AP reboots, it comes back online. Now other access points come and join the WLC.
What was the total of the APs that could support?
If these access points are 1830 or 1850, they can also support Mobility Express. So if something was to happen and this access point was to fail, that WLC, all data is always synchronized between the other Mobility Express capable access points on the network. So that WLC will automatically respawn on a different access point. That IP address will migrate, and then this would now be your controller with the exact same IP address. So what's the selection process that it uses? It uses the most capable AP. So if you have a mix of 1850s and 1830s, we will go and we'll make sure that the 1850 is always the Mobility Express controller because it's a more capable AP.
So it's not dependable on lowest MAC address or something?
There's a couple steps to it, so I'll get to that next. So if they're all 1850s, then we use number of clients. This has 10 clients, this has 20 clients. Lower number of clients means less load on the AP, so it's better to use it. So we go with the lowest number of clients. If they both have the same number of clients, then it's apples to apples, and then we use lowest MAC address.
So what's the failover time?
The failover time is a couple of minutes, where it takes it to detect that it's lost its parent and then spawns the new WLC.
So the backup's not waiting, it waits until after there's an event and then it happens?
Yes.
With 802.1x authentication going through it, would you just configure all of the WLCs and all of the APs in the network to be on the same VLAN and then use a VLAN mask for the radius server to deal with the fact that the WLC might migrate to a different AP?
Yeah, absolutely. They would have to support the same VLAN on all potential access points. And
okay, so there's no disadvantages to having the APs all off in their own individual VLAN?
no,
on the network? Okay.